And the spirit of Ultimate Warrior will run forever!
Kyle here, and it is Sunday, and you know what that means? It's time for weekly purchases, that time of the week where we investigate what came through the door via DHL, Amazon, UPS, United States Postal Service, FedEx, and of course that old outlaw Waylon Jennings, and from my trip and my travels this week, and we will get into all of that. But of course, before we get into it, we got to do a little bit of housekeeping going on. Patreon, of course, the month of January, Patreon giveaway. NECA Gargoyles Broadway. No gun included with this Broadway. Those that know. It was like the third episode too, which was wild. But Broadway, no gun included, but it is Gargoyles Broadway from NECA. This is the January giveaway on the old Patreon channel. Check it out. Link in the description down below. You can also sign up to be a free member of the Patreon these days. So check that out if that is your thing. A lot going on Patreon every single day. I got a Q&A. Of course, we do a monthly Q&A for Patreon members over there. We'll be doing that next week, so I'll put up the post to get questions this weekend, so make sure you guys get your questions in if you're a Patreon member. So much more to come on that. So stay tuned to the Patreon as usual. Support the channel. There you go. But this week I did say a very busy week in a lot of ways. Of course, if you guys saw last week's video and then saw this week on social media, I did announce the cover of the brand new Jack's Classic Superstars book I've been working on. Working in silence behind the scenes like a young James Brown, even harder working than James Brown at this point, as I was doing all the video stuff, all my day job stuff, all the family stuff, but finding time late at night, deep into the nights, to work on this book. And it's about 700 pages. It's a big book. It could knock you out if you get hit with it. A very fun book, and I think you guys will really enjoy this if you enjoy wrestling figures, of course. And I really do appreciate each and every one of you guys, all the positive messages. I was really overwhelmed by the positivity about the book, so thank you guys all for that. And I figured, hey, let's do another announcement of this one. Let's show the back cover of the book. So we got the front and the back cover shown. Revealed these bad boys here. Order details hopefully in the next couple of weeks. We'll see what happens. Hopefully sooner rather than later. You just never know, especially when it's not all in your hands. Sometimes delays happen, sometimes things happen, but much more to come very soon. Stay tuned to that, and a lot of surprises to come in 2024, as I have been saying for the last couple of months. A lot of stuff around the corner. And speaking of around the corner, even more around the corner, as next week I am headed to Las Vegas and Los Angeles. I'm headed to the West Coast. Got some interesting things going on out there. Much more on that in the future on the channel. Stay tuned, as I always do say. But I'll also be going to the John 5 shows. So if you're in the John 5 show, Santa Clarita or something like that, Los Angeles and Las Vegas, I will be at those shows. So if you're at any of those John 5 shows, come say hi, give me a big high five, all that kind of stuff. We can shoot the breeze, who knows. But I'll be around doing some things, maybe some videos, maybe some vlogging out there as well along the way, but a lot of stuff going on. However, I will be gone. I'm leaving most of the week. I'll be gone for like 6 days. That's a long bend, and of course, nothing's gonna miss on the channel here. I've got so many videos in the can. I've been working ahead. I worked all last weekend into the wee hours of the morning getting videos done, so you'll have normal videos throughout, but I will be gone, so it'll be interesting when I get back, what's piled up, what I gotta get to, and I'm not sure yet on Toy News weekly purchases for next weekend. We'll see what happens. Maybe I'll just skip them, or do we do it from the hotel room out there? Maybe that's what we'll do. We'll do a quick Toy News maybe from the hotel. We'll see what happens when that happens. But you guys sign in. You want me to do one from the hotel? We could do a quick one from there maybe. A little bit less formal maybe. We'll see what ends up happening there. But stay tuned to the channel. Stay tuned. Subscribe. All that kind of stuff. A lot of fun stuff on the horizon. Stay tuned for all that. Much more to come. And then, of course, the recap, the week that was here on the channels. Always go through this because so many videos and so many people message me every single day. When are you going to do this? Well, did it 3 days ago. Did it 4 days ago. Did it 2 days ago. It's coming tomorrow. Whatever it may be. A lot of videos moving fast on both YouTube channels, so make sure you subscribe, hit the notifications on both of them, and make sure you scroll through every once in a while. Maybe you missed something, but unboxed 3 Turtles of Grayskull videos this week. We had a total 5 figures we unboxed from the Turtles of Grayskull line. Still not sold on it. Round 2 coming sooner rather than later. We'll talk about that in the future. Snarf Super 7 Ultimate. Oh, watch out for Snarf's hole. Snarf's got a little hole, and then that tail, a big hole. But you guys know, apparently I missed a joint in there or something. But you'll see the video. You can watch it yourself. There you go. Stardust Top 5. Shout out to good friend of the channel, Cody Rose. We did a Stardust Top 5. Void Build-A-Figure finally did the final rankings and built the Void. So check that one out if you missed it. Triclops and Mechaneck New Eternia 2 all-timer figures. Love both of those. Speaking of Cody Rhodes, did the Cody Top Picks this week, the latest one. We did 107 Otis, an interesting one with the 2 different hairs going on. Is it the Ultimate Edition of the year? Asuka. Unboxed the Asuka Ultimate Edition. We also finished up Legends 21, finished out that set, then did the rankings video, so check that one out if you did miss that. Ringside Bell to Bell Collection, the LOD. Man, oh man, very fun to get LOD figure anytime we do. We did talk about the shoulder pads on that, swapping them over to Jakks, Mattel, other toy lines. So there's a lot of use out of these, more than just the figures with the shoulder pads. If you're missing your Mattel shoulder pads, that's a good stand-in. So check out that video if you did miss it. And the rest of the Bell to Bell stuff, I have some of them on Patreon, some of them I'm still editing. They will be all up over the next week or so. So check out the rest of those Ringside Bell to Bell figures. On the second channel over there, Kyle Peterson 2.0, we headed over to McFarland country. Of course, the couch right over here, and Todd been resting all week because I've been gone in Wisconsin. But we did unbox Animal Man Target exclusive, Red Tornado Target exclusive, Aquaman, the Aquaman Target exclusive, and Static Shock, which I got at Ross. Just put it in with Aquaman there. That Aquaman Static Shock one could be a sleeper. I tell you about the high school days. I go into a long story time with Kyle about almost being murdered in high school. Back when you could apparently bring weapons to school and not really get expelled. A wild time back in the 90s, and early 2000s, I guess, in high school. But check out that video. Some crazy story time and the death of my ace hat. It was a terrible time. That could have been the biggest tragedy of all. Check out that video if you missed it. Fei Long and Ken from Street Fighter Jada Toys unboxed those, and unboxed Chester Cheetah, the Jada Toys, on that channel this week. Did our weekly Tuesday Turtle with Bebop Ultimate Edition from Super 7, Ice Giant Witcher figure from Todd McFarlane on the couch, and then the NECA Toonie Terrors. We unboxed those. A lot of videos on 2.0 every single day. Check out that channel as well. So that is the housekeeping. That is some travel stuff. That is some stuff that's going on with the channel. Book discussion, things like that. Much more to come about all this kind of stuff. But now we got to get into it. We got to get into the question of the week. All right, time for the question of the week, and this was a timely question. I felt it kind of went with what we're talking about here, and it comes from Andy McGlink1819. I probably butchered that, but Andy, thank you for sending in your question of the week, and if you want to be the question of the week, feel free to send it, put it in the comments down below, and you might be it next week. We'll see what happens there. But the question this week, Kyle, you're always traveling. Any tips? And do you write your scripts to your videos while traveling? So I don't really have very many travel tips. I hit up my admin for work and I say, hey, here's where I want to go. Here's the dates I want to go. Get me booked. And that's usually what I do. However, sometimes I do have to travel, and that's where I really lean on good friend of the channel, David C. Anderson. He helps me out with my travel stuff. David, where are we going? You just handle it and let me PayPal you. I'm just not a very good traveler as far as that goes. And then a good friend of the channel, Jeff George, kind of same thing. Hey, hold my hand here. Hold my hand a little bit. Because I just don't like that kind of stuff. I like other people to do that stuff for me because I just feel like I'm not going to do it right. I'm not going to do it right. But I do travel a lot for work and stuff, and I do a lot of that kind of stuff. Maybe not the fine details, but you know, the usual tips is I like to stay in certain hotels just because I sleep better and some uniformity and things like that. And I always like getting a good meal when on the road. It kind of makes you feel better from being away at home, at least if you're going to eat something good at least. I don't know, that's just me, but that's my biggest tips. But as far as channel stuff goes, I talked about, it's funny, I think it was either in this week's toy hunt or next week's toy hunt, I talked about getting a notebook, like a $1 notebook at a Walmart. I have so many of those, but I love to have a notebook by me at all times, as you never know when you have a thought, be it for your day job, be it for your family, be it for a to-do list, be it for the channel. I always jot down stuff. I'm a guy that loves lists every day, constant learning, constant improvement, feet hit the floor, and I'm like, okay, what am I going to do? And I start a list off about every single day. Here's my to-do list for the day, and I like to do it old school, pen and paper. That's how I like to do it. My grandma did that, and I think I took that from her, and it just seemed to work out real well for her. So I said, you know what? I'm going to copy my grandma. So that's what I did. So I do a to-do list every single day. I put a lot of stuff on there. It's always good even to put a few easy things that you can at least get a scratch through and say, okay, I feel like I accomplished something. You're not always going to clean that list off, but a lot of days I try to, by the end of the day, clean that list off. But I do keep a notepad ready to go, and I do put things down. And believe it or not, I'm sure most of you guys understand, I don't have scripts for my videos. I don't put anything. Now, weekly purchases, toy news, I have just a couple of bullet points, and I just see it, and I go from there. And that's kind of what I do in my normal day job. You know, I do a PowerPoint presentation or whatever. It's a couple of bullet points, but it's all in here, and you just talk from there. Nothing worse than reading from a script. Let me tell you, nobody wants to see that. If you're doing a PowerPoint presentation, you don't want to be reading your PowerPoint. Have a bullet point, study your presentation, have it ready to go, and that's kind of what I do with this kind of stuff. Here's a bullet point, talk about this, I'll put a name down, and then I remember it, and I go from there, and that's kind of how I do that. However, you're right. As the week goes on, I say, hey, here's Toy News of the Week, and I jot down, oh, McFarlane from the couch announced this, or, Hastel Toys or Major Bendy's, they announced this, or whatever it may be, whatever toy line. I jot things down like that. So that's kind of how I operate. A little peek under the tent. That's how it goes there. So that's the answer to the question of the week. So thank you, Andy, for sending that. And like I said, if you guys want to be question of the week, send it in the comments down below, and you might get your answer read next time in the weekly purchases. So now we got all the housekeeping out of the way. Let's truly get down to the weekly purchases, and I got an all-timer of a story. All right, let's get down to the weekly purchases, and we're going to start with a crazy story. Now, here it goes. Maybe this has happened to you, and you guys can chime in after the story. But about, let's just call it a week ago or so, I was in a store working. I was out and about doing some things, and I got a hot text message, about the hottest text message you could ever have. Hey, head over to Mercari. There's something you got to get on. And I clicked on that link from a trusted source. This was a trusted friend. I'll leave the names behind, but a trusted friend, a good brother out there. He said, you might be interested in this. And I definitely was. I clicked the link to Mercari, and what was it? It was a 1 of 20 Jakks Classic Superstars Ultimate Warrior. At first, I was like, oh my gosh, it's the marble one. It's the one I need. Unfortunately, it was not the marble edition. It was one I already had. However, I saw the price point. 500 and change. I said, are you kidding me? This is a couple $1,000 figure at this point. Autographed COA with the Ultimate Warrior, all that rigmarole that we love so much. I couldn't hit buy it now fast enough. And the minute I hit buy it now, my gut sank as like I said, you know what? I got a real bad feeling about this. And you always go with what your gut tells you. You always got to have that compass in your mind. If it's too good to be true, something feels fishy, guess what? It is fishy. It's usually the way it ends up going. And I immediately had that feeling. So I immediately went, I said, let's see who this seller is. Well, guess what? They just started their account that day. It was some female name, like Julian or Juliana or something like that. What is names? What is time? And I said, okay, well, I'm justifying in my mind. Maybe she's selling for her dead husband, or she broke up with her boyfriend and she got this, or whatever it may be. So I was trying to keep positive about it, but I'm like, I don't like this first day thing. So I immediately sent a message saying, hey, just want to make sure this is packaged right. Could you please send me a picture of you putting this in the box to ship, just so all's good. Of course, never answered that email. She never answered the message, which, not shocked there. And I immediately said, I have a bad feeling I'm going to get like a rock in the mail. They're going to ship it to me. And then, of course, Mercari, you get there and it comes. Well, it showed they sent it, all that kind of fun stuff. And we'll get into that in a little bit here. But I just had a bad feeling from the get-go. So I sent that message, waited a day, no response. And then all of a sudden, bam, tracking went through. And I'm like, okay. And it was like a pound, 2 ounces, something like that. I'm like, well, that tracking sounds about right. That sounds about the size that this should be. So that feels pretty good. But then I saw where this item was purchased from Oregon. Well, unfortunately, it shipped from Florida. So that's pretty dicey right there. I said, something's not going on. So I immediately sent another message. And I sent these messages to protect myself from Mercari, saying, okay, if there's a dispute here, they're going to have those messages. They're going to see before I got the item. I was pretty worried about this transaction. And I said, what's going on? Why did it ship from Florida? You're supposedly in Oregon. Last I heard, they weren't very close to each other. And no response, as you can imagine. Well, I'm getting ready to go to Wisconsin. Beautiful this time of year. Cold this time of year. Icy this time of year. Had to go up there, and I'm waiting. I'm like, man, I need to get on the road. But it was supposed to be delivered on Tuesday. And unfortunately, with the 2 feet of snow we got here this week, UPS, everything else, I didn't get anything for like 5 days. But I'm waiting, and this is supposed to come Tuesday. Well, I was supposed to be on the road, so I'm waiting. Like, it was like little Kyle. little Kyle back in the day, waiting for his LJN Strike Force at the window. Every single day, waiting for that UPS guy to come, chasing outside. UPS guy, do you got my Strike Force? And he just looks at me like, what's a Strike Force, kid? I don't even know what you're talking about. But it was kind of like that. I'm waiting for the postal guy to come. And then he comes, and I come sprinting out. I didn't want him to have to get out or anything like that. I wanted to go right up to his postal vehicle. And I get there, and he's like, hey, not a lot of packages today. But he goes, yeah, I got 2 for you. And one was like Lululemon or Lululemon or something, whatever my wife buys. There was some of that, and I immediately threw that in the snow. I said, I don't care about that thing. But then I dived in, and he had, I got 1 package for you. He goes and reaches down, and I'm thinking it's a box. You know, it's going to be a nice box. My Ultimate Warrior 1 of 20, nice box. I was holding out hope. And he handed me a little bubble mailer envelope. And I immediately, my heart sunk and everything. I was like, oh, no. And I just stood there in the snow, and I probably looked really ridiculous because I had a shirt on and shorts on and snow boots on. And it was like -20 wind chill at the time. But I didn't care. Warrior's going to heat you up. We know how that goes. So I go out there, and I'm just absolutely devastated. So I take it inside, and I get at the counter. I'm just looking at this. And the return address is Florida from some Marco something. Marco Gomez. Shout out to Marco Gomez, whoever you are. We'll find you. And I'm just like, what is this? This is not the Ultimate Warrior. What is going on there? Well, we're going to start weekly purchases off with what I did get. And what did I get? I got a Charmander Pokemon card. Yes, Pokemon. Obviously, I love me some Pokemon. But I got a Charmander card instead of the Ultimate Warrior. I got bamboozled, hoodwinked all at once, and I was right. Once again, you go back to that gut feeling. You know you've been done wrong. That's exactly what happened right there. So I'm like, okay, well, we're going to see where this goes because Mercari will protect you. And if you guys have ever purchased off Mercari, you have 3 days to rate the seller. Within those 3 days, if you do not rate that seller, the transaction is done and you're SOL. So that's why I waited around. I wasn't going to go on a trip for a few days, come back and miss my window, all that kind of fun stuff. So I immediately took pictures of what I received. I sent those to Mercari. I said, hey, here's the whole story. Ran it all down. I said, I sent these messages, had a bad feeling from the get-go, all this kind of stuff. I sent the seller a message saying, hey, this is obviously the wrong item. I know what you're up to. You can't pull the wool over my eyes. And then Mercari sent me a message. We will hopefully respond to you within 9 hours or whatever. I said, well, I got 3 days. And I think what this seller's trying to do, they're trying to trick people, and they're hoping people won't look at it, and they'll just click, yep, item received, and that will be that. And not going to fool me. Not going to fool me. That's not going to happen. But anyways, long story short, but it took about 6 hours. Mercari got back to me right away, said, we're so sorry for this. Your refund has been processed. Bingo bango, I got my money back already. And I get a free Pokemon card. I'm going to start my Pokemon deck here. I might become the greatest Pokemon player of all time from this story. We'll see what ends up happening there. But man, oh man, an all-timer of a story. From the highest of highs to the lowest of lows in just a matter of minutes. Always be careful out there. And I didn't follow my usual advice, but it's one of those things. You see something like that, it happens all the time. There's some good deals up there. You jump in right away and you actually get the item. They're few and far between, but it does happen. But yeah, Warrior didn't work out so well for me, but it was all right in the end there. And we got a cool story out of it, so there you go. But now, let's get into the rest of the weekly purchases. Charmander, you're going to be with me for life, I guess. Who knows? Who knows? But let's dive in here. Coming in hot this week, Zombie Sailor Toys, one-man gang, one of my favorite big men of all time. Can't wait to unbox the gang on the channel. But that's not it for retros. Duke, the Dumpster Drosy, and of course Oscar, Men on a Mission. 2 more from Hustle Toys, Grapplers and Gimmicks. Very, very good looking figures right here. I always say it, I say it a lot on the channel, constant learning, constant improvement. I gotta call it out, those figures look good. We had the Godwins the last time. I wasn't totally sold on the faces on those. No issues with these, at least as of right now. We'll see what happens when we get them out of the package. Stay tuned for those unboxings there. I did pick this up on the road in Wisconsin this week. I never picked this one up, so I finally said, oh, let's pick up this Liv Morgan. That's exactly what I did. So I got Liv Morgan through the door this week. Got to give a special shout out to 80s Wrestling Fan on Twitter. He loves a good conspiracy. Roll that beautiful Ventura footage.
You ever wonder if they're watching your every move? Cell phones, internet, surveillance, Think about it. Post
And who are we fooling? We all love Jesse Ventura, and he was nice enough, of course, 80s wrestling fan on the X, I guess, not necessarily Twitter. He sent me a Jesse Ventura he made, which is amazingly cool. A nice repaint of Jesse, one of the all-time greats, as we know. And what I really like the attention to detail on these is he put a bald spot on Jesse, because originally you thought he would have had a bald spot on there. I love that attention to detail. Makes it feel different from the other color variant Venturas I have in my collection. So if you're looking for repainted LJNs, hit up old 80s wrestling fans out there. So I absolutely do love this. This will be cool in my collection. Thank you for that, Jesse Ventura. So there you go. We got that this week. But we're not done. We got a few other things this week. Turtles of Grayskull, mentioned it early. I'm not sure about this yet, but we did get the Beastman edition. There's the old Beastman, of course. Gotta have Shredder. Gotta think Skeletor's on the way as well, but there's a little Shredder. I'm gonna shred till I'm dead, as one may say. And then we got Ram Man. This could be my favorite one yet. I love the looks of this. Series 2 looks better than Series 1 to me on first impressions. And then, of course, Raphael as we start building out our turtle team. Looking very, very cool right there. So the Turtles of Grayskull through the door this week. So there's round 1 of weekly purchases. We got one more round. Stay tuned for round number 2. All right, time for round number 2 of weekly purchases. And got to give another good brother shout out to Greg DeStefano. He sent me a little package in the mail this week. A lot of really cool letters, a nice letter as well in there. And a little surprise for my wife and kids even. Yes, the wife and kids. But very nice of him to send me some stuff in the mail. But he did send me these t-shirts. He sent me a little shirt from the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Always like a shirt. You guys know me. I love a good band shirt. I love a good heavy metal shirt. But we did get that one here. And then we got one from the Rock and Roll Fantasy on this side as well. Let's see, what does it say? Record Smoke Shop Pinball Room. I don't know about the smoke shop, but the pinball room and all that other stuff sounds pretty good. We got that from Middletown, New York. So shout out to New York, Middletown right there. And shout out to Greg for sending that my way. Very much appreciated. Thank you, Greg. But we're not done here. We got some more weekly purchases going on. Did get my GameStop order in this week. Had to use my $5 code. There was a special sale going on. And then I had some reward points. So I got these a lot cheaper than it would be at Target, Amazon, Entertainment Earth, wherever. So I went to GameStop to get this. But I got the regular edition Green Lantern Batman. Of course, we unboxed the Chase. We even tasted it if you saw the video. We gave it and see how many licks does it take to get to the Batman, the center of a Green Lantern Batman. Check out that video for all the details there. We got the regular edition this week as well. Got Superman and Crypto. You know I'm a sucker for an animal in a 2-pack. I always loved him back to the G.I. Joe days. Love him to this day and age. Looking good. Superman, man, he's jacked up. He's beefed up right there, little Superman. Looking good. And then I got Wonder Woman. I probably will get the Chase one eventually. We'll see what happens there. But got Wonder Woman looking good. Looking only like a Wonder Woman could look. And really a hole in a lot of DC collections. And one thing we do know, Todd loves filling holes. Anytime he can. He loves plugging them. He loves filling them. We got the Wonder Woman right here this week. But I wasn't done. I was on the hot hunt to Wisconsin. And there was one thing I was particularly looking for. I hit a ton of stores. And I found it at only one of those stores. It is the Vampire Robin. So I'm continuing on the DC Vampire collection. Got Robin this week out on the cold, cold hunt on my way to Wisconsin. But we weren't done. I did get this from Amazon, Lobo and Space Hog, a big one. When I saw the box was about this long. I'm like, I severely underestimated the size of this figure. Thankfully, it was a big box with a littler box inside. But we will unbox this on the channel as well, so stay tuned for old Lobo. But could this finally be the Lobo we've all been waiting for? We'll have to stay tuned to that as well. But we're almost done. Only a few things left for weekly purchases. I did get the Mad King himself, old Eddie Kingston, the AEW shop. Bloody exclusive. You know me, I love a blood and guts figure. Very, very cool Eddie Kingston figure. Can't wait to unbox this one on the channel. And then I did get one to be mint on card in the protector right there. So I did get that Eddie Kingston as well. So cool to get these Eddies. Look forward to that review on the channel. And then the final piece of the puzzle. We've had a theme here. And maybe next week or the next week or maybe the next week after that. We'll see how it nets out. Maybe we'll do a Mondo week as I am built up on Mondo figures to unbox. I have to unbox the Skeletor. I have to unbox Trapjaw, the Motubi Man-at-Arms. There's 3 He-Man figures. I also have the X-Men Gambit, and I have, what's the other one? There's another X-Men one. Now I can't even remember, but I do got another X-Men one here today. Oh, Omega Red from last week. Got to unbox Omega Red, but also got to unbox Sabretooth, as I did get the Mondo Sabretooth through the mail this week. The worst thing is, and what puts me off on unboxing these is, I don't know where I'm going to put my Mondo figures in my collection yet. I need them to have their own space together. Just haven't been able to figure out exactly where that's going to be, and I need to get that figured out here in the next couple of weeks, so we'll see what happens. But Sabretooth, an all-time favorite of mine. Very, very happy to get this one through the door this week, today, actually. So there it is. So there's the weekly purchases. A heavy week in all things considered here. A lot of stuff going on, a lot of stuff to unbox this weekend. Once again, I will be traveling next week. You will have videos and stuff. We'll just have to stay tuned to what we do during weekly purchases and the toy news next week. So stay tuned for that. We'll see what ends up shaking out there. But what did you pick up this week? Anything fun? Did you find anything good at retail? Anything you were on the hunt for? Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. And of course, don't forget to leave your question if you want to be question of the week down in the comments. Make sure you put that in there. And don't forget to like this video. Always helps the channel. Subscribe to this YouTube channel and my other YouTube channel. Don't forget about Patreon. We got the January giveaway. You can sign up as a free member. All kinds of content over there. And maybe some pictures for my trip next week. So stay tuned for those as well. So check out the old Patreon. Support the channel. You can also support the channel at PrestonTees.com. Search Kyle Peterson. Don't forget social media. SirPaul64 on the X. The _Kyle_Peterson on Threads. And on Instagram. So for weekly purchases, you know what I'm doing. I'm rocking and rolling, strutting and strolling my way to the West Coast.